The Jinn and I. My name is Malik, and I have always been fascinated by the supernatural. I love reading books and watching movies about ghosts, demons, and monsters. But what I never expected was to make a friend who was not human, or even from this world. It all started one day when I was playing in the woods near my house. I heard a voice calling my name, and when I turned around, I saw a figure standing behind a tree. It was a jinn, a creature from Islamic mythology that is said to be made of smokeless flame. At first, I was terrified, but the jinn spoke to me in a calm, soothing voice. He said that he was not here to harm me, but to offer me a gift. He said that he had been watching me for a long time, and he had seen how much I loved stories about the supernatural. The jinn said that he could give me the power to see and communicate with ghosts, demons, and other supernatural beings. He said that he could teach me how to use this power to defend myself and my loved ones from evil spirits. At first, I was skeptical, but the jinn seemed sincere and trustworthy. He said that he did not ask for anything in return, except for my friendship. He said that he was a lonely creature, shunned by both humans and other jinn, and that he longed for companionship. I agreed to the jinn's offer, and he gave me a small stone that he said would enable me to communicate with him whenever I needed his help. He also taught me a few phrases in Arabic that he said would protect me from evil spirits. At first, everything was great. I felt powerful and confident, knowing that I had a jinn friend who would always be there for me. I saw many ghosts and demons that I had not been able to see before, and I learned how to banish them with the help of the jinn. But then things started to go wrong. It happened one night when I was reading a book in my room. I heard a scratching sound outside my window, and when I looked outside, I saw a shadowy figure lurking in the bushes. I called out to the jinn, but he did not answer. I tried the protection phrases that he had taught me, but they did not work. The shadowy figure started to move closer and closer to my window, and I could hear it whispering my name. I was paralyzed with fear, but then I heard a voice in my head. It was the jinn, and he said that he had been hiding from me because he had important business to attend to. He said that I should not worry, that he would take care of the shadowy figure. I trusted the jinn, and I went back to reading my book. But then I heard a loud crash, and I looked up to see the shadowy figure standing in my room. It had glowing red eyes and razor-sharp claws, and it lunged at me with a hateful snarl. From that day, things started to change between me and the jinn. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, but then I started to hear whispers in my dreams. They were voices that I did not recognize, but they were speaking in Arabic, and I knew that they were coming from the jinn. The whispers were vague at first, but then they became more intense and urgent. They told me to do strange things, like drawing strange symbols on my walls or burning incense at midnight. I tried to resist them, but the more I resisted, the louder the whispers became. I started to feel like I was losing control of myself. I was afraid to tell my parents, or my friends, what was happening to me. I thought they would think I was crazy, or worse, possessed by a demon. But things came to a head one day when I came home from school and found my parents lying on the floor, motionless. They looked like they were in a deep sleep, but I could not wake them up no matter how hard I tried. I called out to the jinn, hoping that he would help me, but he did not answer. Instead, the whispers in my head became louder and more persistent. They told me that my parents had been cursed by a powerful demon and that I had to perform a special ritual to break the curse. I did not know what to do, but I felt like I had no choice. I followed the whispers' instructions and lit candles around my parents' bodies. I drew strange symbols on their foreheads with a sharp knife, and I recited the Arabic phrases that the jinn had taught me. At first, nothing happened, but then my parents started to stir. They groaned and gasped for air, and then they sat up, looking dazed and confused. They did not remember what had happened to them or how they had become cursed. I thought that everything was going to be okay, but then I heard a laughter in my head. It was the jinn, and he sounded delighted. He said that he had tricked me and that the curse had been a test of my loyalty. After that, I realized that I had made a terrible mistake. I had put my trust in a creature whose motives and intentions I did not understand. I had let myself be manipulated by whispers and promises, not realizing that the Jinn had his own game to play. The Jinn became more and more demanding, asking for favors and services that I knew were beyond my power to fulfill. He forced me to go on dangerous expeditions to haunted houses, abandoned graveyards, and cursed ruins. He made me interact with demons and witches, who were even more dangerous and unpredictable than the ghosts and spirits that I had encountered before. I tried to resist the Jinn, but he had a hold on me that I could not break. He had given me power, but he had also given me a curse. The curse of being his loyal friend and servant, with no way out. The Jinn became more and more malicious, and his pranks and tricks escalated. He would make me see things that were not there, or hear sounds that were too frightening to bear. He made me doubt my sanity and my safety, questioning whether everything I had ever believed was real or not. I knew that I had to break free, but I did not know how. The Jinn had become too powerful, too cunning, too insidious. He had become my worst nightmare, and he did not seem to have any intention of letting me go. One night, I had a dream. I was in a dark room, and I could hear footsteps approaching. When I turned around, I saw a figure standing at the door. It was an old man, with a long white beard and piercing blue eyes. The old man spoke to me, saying that he knew what I was going through, and that he wanted to help me. He said that he was a Sufi mystic, and that he had the power to control jinns. I listened to the old man's words, and I felt hope for the first time in a long time. I thought that maybe I could be saved, that maybe there was a way out of this nightmare. But then the dream ended, and I woke up, feeling more confused than ever. Who was the old man? Was he real or just a figment of my imagination? Things got even worse after that. I started to feel like I was losing my mind. I would see things that were not there, and I would do things that I did not remember afterwards. I felt like I was possessed by something dark and malevolent, something that was beyond my control. My parents noticed that something was wrong with me, but they did not know what it was. They thought that maybe I was sick, or depressed. They took me to doctors and therapists, but no one could help me. I was afraid to tell them about the Jinn, afraid that they would think I was crazy or possessed by a demon. I held on to the Jinn, thinking that he was my only friend, but deep down, I knew that he was my worst enemy. One day, I decided that I had enough. I could not take it anymore. I could not live in fear and uncertainty, not knowing what the Jinn would do next. I knew that I had to get rid of him, no matter what the cost. I went back to the dream, the one where the old man had spoken to me. I searched for information about Sufi mystics, thinking that maybe I could find someone who could help me. After a long search, I finally found a website of a Sufi master who lived in a neighboring town. I sent him an email, telling him about my situation and asking for his help. To my surprise, he replied to me immediately. He said that he had dealt with jinns before, and that he knew exactly what to do. He asked me to meet him in his mosque, and he said that he would perform an exorcism to rid me of the jinn's influence. I was nervous, but I also felt relieved. I knew that this was the only solution, that I had to face my fears and fight the jinn. The exorcism was a terrifying experience. The Sufi master used sacred words and gestures to summon the jinn, and then he engaged him in a fierce battle of wills and magic. I could hear the jinn's screams and curses, and I could see sparks of smokeless flame flashing in the air. The Sufi master was using all his powers to control the jinn, to break his hold on me, and to banish him back to his realm. I was in a trance, mesmerized by the power of the mystic and the jinn. I could feel their energy flowing through me, and I could see their images flashing in my mind. And then it was over. The jinn was gone, and I was free. The Sufi master blessed me and gave me a talisman to protect me from future attacks. He told me to be careful, to avoid making deals with jinns or other supernatural beings, and to live a simple and honest life. After the exorcism, my life changed completely. I no longer saw ghosts or demons, and I no longer heard whispers or dreams. I felt like a weight had been lifted from my shoulders, and I could see the world in a new light. But there was also a cost. I had lost my innocence and my curiosity. I had seen the darkness that lurks in the shadows, and I knew that it could consume me if I let it. I tried to go back to my old life, but it was not the same. I had lost something precious, something that I could not name. I felt like I had grown up too fast, and that I had left some part of myself behind. Years went by, and I graduated from high school, went to college, and got a job. I had a new life, a life that was more mundane, more ordinary, but also more stable and comfortable. But then one day, I heard a voice calling my name. It was a voice that I recognized, a voice that I had tried to forget. It was the Jinn. I could not believe it. I thought that he was gone, banished forever by the Sufi master's exorcism. But here he was, speaking to me again, offering me his friendship once more. At first, I resisted. I told him that I did not want to make the same mistake again, that I did not want to be his pawn or his slave. But then he told me something that made me reconsider. He said that he had a gift for me, a gift that would change my life forever. I went to meet the Jinn, not knowing what to expect. I was nervous and anxious, but also curious and intrigued. When I arrived, the Jinn was standing at the same spot where I had met him for the first time. He looked the same, with his smokeless flame and his deep, hypnotic voice. He told me to close my eyes, and then he placed his hand on my forehead. I felt a wave of heat and energy coursing through my body, and then I saw a vision. It was a vision of me, but not in the present. It was me, in the future, a future that was unimaginably bright and exciting. I saw myself achieving things that I had never even dreamed of, reaching heights of success and power that I had never thought possible. The Jinn told me that he had given me a special talent, a talent that would enable me to achieve my goals, whatever they might be. He said that I had the power to see the future, to predict the outcomes of events and decisions, to manipulate people and circumstances to suit my purposes. At first, I was skeptical. I had been burned before, by promises and gifts that turned out to be curses and traps. But then I thought, what if he was telling the truth? What if I really had a gift that could change my life? I opened my eyes, and I looked at the Jinn. He was smiling, a smile that was both friendly and wicked. And that's when I knew that I had made a terrible mistake.